an indie sci-fi film about following your dreams. Literally, let's talk about Somnium. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Our Past. I'm here to talk to you about Somnium, which is premiering at the Chattanooga Film Festival on June 22nd, 2024. It is an indie sci-fi horror film about following your dreams. Literally, I am wearing this because there is a scene involving VR, but also it kind of fits with the way that the dreams are transferred. I'm going to take it off though because I can't see a thing. All right. So is Somnium worth your time? Is it worth the watch? My hot take is I think you should watch it. I was kind of between a watch now and a watch later, but overall, I really did like this film. I like this film a lot. It's an indie sci-fi film. There's a lot with what I imagine is a small budget. It has a great cast, some really nice effects, and a very emotional story. It's kind of like an indie Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind. You're going to get a little bit of that in this film, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of like a nice emotional journey and a film that kind of like punches above its weight. So I definitely think you should check it out, especially if you're going to the Chattanooga Film Festival. Make sure to watch this one, but I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises along the way. I would turn off when I get to the ending. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Somnium, you have Gemma, who has moved to Hollywood to pursue her dream of being an actor. She left a small town in Georgia, went all the way out to Hollywood. As you know, I imagine a lot of stories start. She wanted to make it, but she starts struggling at the start. She eventually gets a job at this sleep clinic, this like sleep therapy place called Somnium. But is this job a dream? Is she able to pursue her Hollywood dreams, or is this going to be a nightmare? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I love the cast. I especially liked Chloë Levine as Gemma. She does a really good job as the lead. She's definitely someone that, you know, is relatable. You can like want to root for her. She has to go through all sorts of different emotions in her pursuit of her dream. And she's definitely someone that you want to follow and someone that you're kind of like hoping succeeds. The rest of the cast is really good too. I love Johnathon Schaech as this person, Brooks. I love Peter Vack as Gemma's boyfriend from Georgia. And I love Will Peltz as the kind of like coworker. It is just a really kind of nice cast, and they all do give really fantastic performances. And also, it's kind of crazy. Some of the like this film was filmed in two parts. It was filmed, part of it was filmed in 2018, and part of it was filmed in 2021. And so the fact that the cast, like members of the cast, were in 2018 and then stayed through when it came back in 2021 is kind of another amazing accomplishment about this movie. The second thing I love the effects. I love that this film is an indie film that is sci-fi, but they focused on practical effects. There aren't, I mean, there's some CG, but not much. It's not even really noticeable. This film is definitely erring on the practical side. The Dream Clinic is clean. It looks very futuristic. They have a nice, like, clean aesthetic to it. They definitely focused on effects that would look good on a small budget, and it definitely shows. This film, again, like I said, kind of punches above its weight. The third thing I love the story. It is a nice story about following your dreams. It has some sci-fi aspects to it, but at its core, it is like an emotional story about someone trying to pursue their dreams and kind of the sacrifices that they will make to do it. And the last thing I love, related, I love the emotion, especially as the film progresses. You get some really good emotion as you're following Gemma's journey into Hollywood and some of the things that happen to her. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much. The first, I'll call it the creature. There is a creature aspect to this. It makes it into like a little bit more of a horror movie. I didn't love it. It's fine. It works with the story, but I didn't think it kind of fit with a lot of the rest of the story. I thought that maybe it would have been a better overall movie without it. So I'm not going to really go into what the creature was or anything like that, but I didn't love the creature aspect of it. The second thing I didn't love as much, and this is minor, there's an ending sequence that I didn't love as much. It contributes to the story and it kind of fits overall, but I didn't really know if it kind of melded in with the story. And I'll go into that in the ending. I'm not going to go into it now, but just a few things that I didn't love as much about this movie. But overall, I really like this. I like this movie a lot more than I expected to. It is kind of a nice, it was a nice surprise, especially from Racheal Cain. This is her first feature, and it definitely feels like a polished indie film. So check out Somnium at the Chattanooga Film Festival on June 22nd, 2024. I'm going to go into the ending right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So, like I said, this film follows Gemma's journey. She has left her small town in Georgia to go to Hollywood to pursue her dreams, and she is dealing with a breakup as part of this. Now, she had a life back in Georgia. She had a boyfriend that she liked very much, but she always wanted to pursue acting. She couldn't do that in her small town in Georgia, so she wanted to come to LA. Now, it's a little tiny bit unclear, but it seems like her boyfriend kind of agreed to go with her, but then at the last minute kind of said no. Like he didn't want that. He didn't want to go with her. He didn't want to like leave his small town. He had a life there. He had, his family was there. He had a job there, but he didn't want Gemma to not pursue her dreams. He didn't want to like force her to stay because he knew that she was going to be an actor, that she wanted to pursue her dreams. He didn't want to like do that to her, because he did love her, and so he broke up with her before she left. So she was heartbroken, but still did it. She still came out to Hollywood, and now she is trying to pursue her dream of acting. And it's rougher than she thought, right? As I imagine it always is if you are trying to break it in Hollywood. She's behind on her rent. She is trying to get a job, and then eventually she ends up working at this sleep clinic called Somnium. And this, what Somnium does, they have a 6-week kind of like intensive sleep therapy session where people sleep, and while they're sleeping, they're subconsciously given like images of like what their dreams are. So they're, you know, if they want to be like a politician, they're like shown images of them being a successful politician. They're shown images of like them doing what they love. And then theoretically, by when they wake up after 6 weeks, those have like sunk into them, and now they are able to like do it intuitively, or I guess they are able to pursue it because it is something that they think is more attainable. So she gets a job as like the night watchman, I guess, essentially, of these people. Basically, she just like watches over them as they sleep and makes sure nothing goes wrong. It's a pretty chill job, and it allows her to continue to like audition during the day. So early on in her time here, she meets this person named Brooks, who is this like not flamboyant, but like he is definitely like a well-dressed person. He clearly looks like he's someone who knows stuff in Hollywood. He certainly looks like he knows people in Hollywood. And he takes a shine to her early on. He like gives her his card, says like, if you need anything, let me know. I'll show you the ropes and whatnot. You don't know what his intentions are. Like I love that his character is kind of like unclear on this. You don't know if he is like genuinely doing this or if he has like a shadier angle, like maybe to take advantage of someone who has just come to Hollywood. But she takes his card anyways, and eventually she does call him, and he, you know, gives her a lovely tour of the city. He takes her up to like the Hollywood Hills and shows her like LA at night. It is a beautiful scene, and he seems genuine. You still don't know. Like when I saw this scene, I was like, okay, he's definitely going to make a move. He doesn't. He takes her up there, shows her LA, like, shows her what her dream could be, and then apparently, takes her back home. And so he becomes an ally for her as she's trying to pursue her dream. Now, she is working the clinic at night, and eventually she gets an audition for a movie. Gemma goes to it. I loved it because she was like super nervous. And I love the idea that, Chloë Levin, who is a seasoned actor, is playing a character who is like doing their first audition, and like how nervous she looked at the start. Like she definitely looks like she is unsure. And then she does the audition, she kills it. I assume her character, Gemma, is like drawing, it's like a breakup kind of scene. I assume her character is drawing from personal experience. She does a really fantastic job. Doesn't hear anything, keeps trying to find a job, keeps trying to like get auditions, but nothing is working out. She is slowly running out of money. You can see that she is like slowly getting behind on her rent. And as she's doing her job, one night there is like an emergency. Someone comes in like yelling, and the doctor, Dr. Schaefer, goes in to like help do an emergency dream procedure on this person. And she's like, what's going on? And the people who have worked there before, they say it's a cloud nine. And a cloud nine is essentially an intensive 9-hour sleep therapy program. Whereas before, when you do it like in 6 weeks, it's more gradual. They do it at night. These people sleep there. Cloud nine, they like do it in 9 weeks. They kind of give them a cocktail of drugs. It is much more invasive, and it's almost like a forced rewrite. Whereas the 6 week system, they like are slowly like given images, and it like enters their subconscious that way. In the Cloud Nine, they basically like go in and like force these memories into their head. And so afterwards, like they believe that these are things that happen to them. Whereas in the normal process, you wake up and you're like thinking of these things. They're like thinking of possibilities that could happen. In a Cloud Nine situation, those become your memories, and it kind of erases other parts of your brain. So kind of a scary situation, but I guess it works sometimes. The two more seasoned employees are kind of like a little hush hush about it. And Gemma tries to open like the Cloud9 file, and she can't open it. It is locked. So Another night, Gemma is there and she sees Noah, who is like she kind of like who is like the head dream maker. He like programs the dreams. He is a senior like employee here. He sees him at the facility at night, and she's like wondering like what's going on. He seems surprised as he's leaving a room. You hear a voice in that room, and he like basically tells Gemma like, "Hey, you can go home. I'll take over for now." So a little bit shady. You don't really know what's going on, but Gemma goes home and I guess enjoys getting some sleep. Now, later, Brooks invites Gemma to a party in the Hollywood Hills. It's a party that is thrown by a director. It's someone that would be good to know. It'd be good for Gemma to get up there and like meet people. Gemma's excited, but it's during her working hours. It's a Friday night. So she tries to get someone to cover for her. She can't. And so she decides that she is just going to slip out and go to the party, and none will be the wiser. Now, before she does that, she is looking at the security cameras to try to figure out like what footage is going to capture her sneaking out. And I think she's going to delete that feed to make sure that, there's no evidence. And while she's looking at them, she finds like another not very well hidden security camera footage. I mean, it's just like another subfolder. And in that, she sees Noah. You can't really tell what he's doing, but it looks like he is doing something to a patient. And I couldn't, it's low res, so you can't really see exactly what's happening, but it looks like he is either seducing the patient or using the sleep technology in a way that is improper or unethical. And so Gemma decides to copy this. I think she already, maybe doesn't like Noah, and she copies this, and then she goes to the party. She gets dressed up. She goes to the party. The party's lovely. She meets a couple other people who Brooks knows. Brooks sends like a limo. He's in there. They kind of like go up there. They're drinking. Again, this is one of those things where I was like, okay, is Brooks gonna like do something? He doesn't. He is a genuine person. I liked his character because it was kind of like you're not sure what was going to happen, but he was genuine throughout. They go up to the party. Gemma is meeting people. Eventually, she meets this person named Max, who is this like superstar. This like I don't know if she's like a singer, actor, maybe it's everything. She's in a bunch of ads. She is this like superstar, and when she's talking to her, Max finds out that she works at Somnium, and she's like, "Oh, Somnium, they changed my life." And she's like, "What?" And uh come to find out that Max was one of these like Cloud9 people. She like went in, I guess she had some problems. They did a Cloud9 on her. She was patient 221 who was like whispered about earlier. You didn't know who it was. Well, it was Max. It was this like superstar. I guess she had gone in, they Cloud9'd her, rewrote her, and now she is like a super, like she is just beyond famous. So interesting. Like it seems like the Cloud9 process does work. It does produce some results. So good for Gemma to know that. So after she finds this out, after she heads back to work, when she gets there, her supervisor is out in front of the Somnium offices. And you don't see a scene, but you kind of get the impression that Gemma was fired because of this. As you imagine, you leave your job without authorization for a couple hours, no one's watching. Like, yeah, it's not going to look good, especially if you're the only person there. So Gemma gets fired. This doesn't help her. She's already behind on the rent. She's already trying to work. She's already trying to like make it in Hollywood. So as this is happening, we also have this like creature element, which I mentioned. It's like we see it a few times in her apartment at night. We see it in like the Somnium offices like once or twice. And we see it that night after she got fired. It like is in her apartment and she just like hides from it. And you don't really know what this creature is. You're not sure if it's like real or not. Later, she invites Brooks over to give him back his jacket. He like lent her his jacket at the party. She invites him over and she looks crazy. Like she looks like she is at her wit's end. She is like strangely happy, but also feels desperate. She like basically tells Brooke that she needs him to help her out. He promised that he would help her make it in Hollywood, and he needs to deliver. Like you said you were gonna like help me get into Hollywood. He's like, wake up, you're in it. Like you're doing auditions, like you are in the process. Like no other moment is real. And then Gemma tries to like accelerate the process. She tries to kiss Brooks, and I love this scene because he just kind of like pulled away because I wasn't sure. As I always said, I wasn't sure. He pulled away, and Gemma's like, "But isn't this what you wanted?" And Brooks is like, "If I would have wanted that, like, I would have taken it." And so Brooks is a little upset about this. Gemma like pleads with him, "Please, like, just tell me where to start. Like, where do I start?" And he says, "Next time you're face to face with whatever it is that you're scared so much of, you look it dead in the eye, and that's where you start." So after this, after Gemma kind of like hits rock bottom, she like cleans out her apartment. She like tears down all the memories of her hometown. And later that night, she gets back into her apartment and there's something in there, and you're like, oh, is it the creature? Nope, it is a person. They come in, they sedate Gemma and take her. Now Gemma wakes up in the Somnium offices in like a chair, and it's Noah, the creepy insistent person. He is there, and Noah is like strapping her in and saying like, essentially like you're gonna go through the Cloud 9, but you figured this out faster than the last sleep sitter. So it seems like Noah has been doing this for a bit. You don't know what he's going to do, but then Gemma enters the Cloud 9 process. So Gemma goes through a couple scenarios during this. One, she goes on like a talk show where it's a talk show host like telling her about how she has like achieved her dreams. And Gemma's very confused. She's like, but I haven't, like, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't go well. Eventually the talk show host gets annoyed because she's not like, helping with him, and she just like runs out. Then we see her at a diner where I think she used to work, and where she and Hunter had spent time. Hunter says like, "Oh, you came back. Like we can, you can go. Everything can go back the way it was." Hunter says, "Just stay this time." Gemma doesn't stay, and we see like her memories from her time back in Georgia. They were very happy at the start. As the film progressed, her memories became more and more sad, not because of the Cloud 9 process, just in general. She like started off a little more nostalgic about her time, and as it progressed, you kind of saw more and more about like the turmoil that happened before she left. Well, now she's seeing those memories, but it's a lot darker. It's like the faces are all kind of blurred. It almost feels like she's losing those memories, probably the Cloud 9 process. And eventually she's like talking to Hunter. And while she's talking to Hunter, like his face really briefly changes to Noah and then back to Hunter. And this helps her realize that this is not real. So Hunter's trying to like get her to stay. And she says Hunter showed her what love is because he set her free. He broke up with her so that she could pursue her dreams. She mentioned something like, who would I be if I kept him if he didn't want to stay? So like she knew that they weren't gonna work out. Hunter's the one that like pulled the trigger, but she kind of also knew that Hunter didn't want to leave. So she's going through this in her head, realizing that this person in her dreams is like not a real Hunter because he's trying to get her to stay, and she knows that that is not what her Hunter would have done. So eventually, after this, the monster shows up. This monster that's been pursuing her, and she finally does what Brooks suggested. She looks it right in the eye and takes a step towards it. And as she's looking in the eye, it starts to dissolve away. So after this, she wakes up in the Cloud 9 process. It seems like she didn't go through the whole process. It seems like she went partially through. She gets up, she leaves, she walks up to Noah, and he like closes his laptop, and he's like surprised, like, how did you? And then he just like runs away. Gemma tells the doctor that there's a hard drive in the top right shelf and that they should look at it, and then she just leaves. She takes some money that she had saved. It was like a do not use money. It was for a return one-way ticket. She takes that money that she had been saving and uses it for rent. So she is now going to pursue her dream more, I guess. So she is now going to like fully commit to her dream. She is like past the point of no return. We find out the Somnium office closed and that Noah was arrested for kidnapping and aggravated assault. I guess he'd been doing this for a bit. He'd been kidnapping people. I don't know what the end game though was. I'll talk about that in a second, but he had been kidnapping people, forcing them into the Cloud 9 process. And we see Gemma. She's fixing up her apartment, and she gets a call. She gets a call from that very first audition she did months ago. The person calling said like, "Hey, sorry, it's been so long. We had ran into some funding issues or some permitting issues, but now that's all resolved. And if you're still available, we all loved your performance, and we'd like to offer you the role in this movie." So that's where the movie ends. Gemma gets the call. I think she accepts it, but she definitely would have accepted it. And so Gemma is going to make it. She's going to make her first movie. I hope hopefully she has another job too, because I don't know if that's going to be enough to pay her rent, but she is doing it. She's doing her dream. That is Somnium. Like I said, I liked it a lot. The creature was a little odd. I guess the creature was her own like fear of what was going to happen, her own like uncertainty. And so when she finally confronted it, she was able to like move aside and like fully commit. I guess the creature was like her fear of failure, maybe. But one thing I wasn't sure of is like, if Noah is kidnapping these people to do the Cloud 9 process, you would think he would have put himself in as like their the object of their affection. I assume that would be why Noah would do it. He was wanted to kidnap them. Maybe he just wanted to play God. He had some moments during the film where he talked about like how he could control their dreams. He could make whatever they want come true. So maybe that's what he liked. Maybe he was doing the Cloud 9 process to try to like force people to follow their dreams. Like maybe he just liked that. But I also assume that He had hit on Gemma before. He'd asked if she wanted to go on a date. So I assumed that when he kidnapped her, he was going to like overwrite her memories with things of him, like make him be the object of affection. But you didn't get that in the Cloud9 process. It was mostly just like a unpacking of Gemma's emotions and of Gemma's like emotional turmoil as coming in. So it was interesting. It was good. I liked it, but it didn't feel like it fit with what was happening with like Noah kidnapping her to force her into this memory rewriting process. It felt like it was a good way for her to overcome her fears and maybe get some inspiration. But it didn't feel like it kind of fit with what was happening. So again, it was still an interesting movie. It was still fun. I really loved the performances. I loved kind of the look of it. I love the aesthetic. I like the way that it built into a very emotional story towards the end. So definitely think you should check out Somnium. If you're at the Chattanooga Film Festival, check it out there. If not, keep an eye out. It'll probably hit a couple more festivals on its way to probably a digital distribution deal later. So keep an eye out. Definitely check it out when you can. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It will make my dreams come true. I don't really know how they use this in the movie because I can't see anything. But let's talk about Somnium.